So I want to tell you a story, and if this is you, hang tight, pay close attention. Last week I had a patient, and this is not uncommon. Last week I had a patient in the office who's clutching their low back, doubled over in pain. You can see the panic in their eyes because it is extremely hard to move. They have done something very small, lifting an empty laundry basket, and their back went. They're very concerned that they did something damaging, anxious, and can't move. If this is you, or you know somebody who has had this, pay close attention. So usually it didn't come out of nowhere. They didn't fall from 10 feet from the roof. They did something very small. So their questions begin, their line of questioning begins with, Doc, how could this happen? I didn't do anything. Well, really we have to look back before we look forward. What does low back, what are the causes, the usual causes? And I'm not talking if there is structural damage. That is something different than biomechanical low back pain. It is usually caused by the hours and hours that we sit. Just think about it. You're sitting traveling, you're sitting at your desk, we're hunched over, so that's poor posture. It's limited movement during the day. That low back loves to move, stimulates the brain. The brain then says, how do I move the rest of the body effectively and really deal with life? If it doesn't have that gentle movement, how many times have we sat at a desk for 8 hours and not moved? So limited movement, ongoing stress on the spine, and potentially previous injuries. So you couple all of that, and then we get this cycle. Let's talk about the cycle of low back pain. I thought it would go away. 6 most dangerous words in the English language. Because doing nothing is the equivalent of just letting it lay dormant. So we have this cycle of low back pain. And this is what happened with this person. We're good for a period of time, then we do something very small, and then we're maybe not bedridden, but in intense pain. So, and then as we go along, it takes less to trigger it. Whereas before it was 6 months between episodes, now it's 3 months between episodes. Now an episode doesn't last 3 days, it lasts 7 days, and the intensity is high. And it's really affecting our ability to do life. And we are literally on edge, waiting for the next shoe to drop, for the next cycle to begin. You can see how this is very affecting our life. So the cycle of low back pain is very, very common, and doing nothing is the equivalent of letting it lay dormant. So what are the causes of low back pain? As I just mentioned, prolonged sitting and poor sitting, poor posture, restricted motion, lack of motion, old injury, and repetitive movements. These are usually the culprits of what we call biomechanical low back pain. That just means a movement error that probably started a long time ago, but that's created counterbalances or compensations elsewhere in the spine, and the little muscles that used to work to hold us upright have said, I'm no longer on the job. The brain has to say, well, I have to recruit a different muscle to do it, but it gets weak and tired and fatigued. On the other side, it has to do the same thing, and we get this zigzag pattern all the way up the spine. We're now recruiting muscles and asking muscles that their first job is not to hold us upright. They get tired, they get fatigued easy, and this is why the cycle of low back pain, it will take less and less to trigger an already fatigued muscle. Now, I'm not saying doing nothing is not, it actually can. Rest is very beneficial, but we don't want to rest on the back for 7 days. The back loves movement. This is why after surgery they get you up and moving. We need that low back to move and mid back, upper back to send signals to the brain. So rest and honoring the body. Yes, it is not the time to go do the personal best at the gym. It is not the time to run, a 5K. Getting back into the movement, getting back into exercise, but honoring the body. Is this time to back off, to reevaluate? Absolutely. So what are some solutions? We've talked cycles, we've talked causes. Let's talk solutions. So the first is move throughout the day. So have a little timer. I love my watch here that explains to me how many times I'm actually getting up, and I have a goal of how many times per hour I'm to get up, or through the day I'm to get up and move around. Movement during the day. Yes, pay attention to your posture, absolutely, but we can't outthink a non-moving spine. So the next is have healthy spinal habits by visiting your chiropractor regularly, not just as a reactive tool. So I hope this was helpful. Your next step is find a chiropractor in our network, in the Massage Addict network. Find a location close to you. Call them up, see if they have a chiropractor, number one, and ask for a complete consultation exam to evaluate your issue. Here to help you. Have a wonderful day.